And let's get ready here. All right. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 821. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Could really use some help with more subscribers. Go to youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. You can click that if you go to the main site, and then just click subscribe once you get there. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. Remotely support your customers. If you're an IT pro or an MSP, you can provide unattended and on-demand remote access. And you can try it for 15 days for free by just clicking on the link on the left-hand side of my website at miketechshow.com, or just go to instanthousecall.com. And don't forget to use the promo code MikeTechShow. And you're going to love it. You know I talk about Instant House Call all the time. I and my son, we live on that for supporting our clients. This show is also brought to you by Magnusbox. And there's some big announcements this week. Magnusbox proudly announced that they are launching in Canada. So anybody that's servicing clients in Canada, you'll be able to have your online backups going to the servers in Canada. They're launching a spring promo for the month of April. If you're already a partner, and I really like this, because if you're going to have a promo for new business, well, what about your loyal clients, your loyal partners that have been around from the beginning? What are you doing for them? Well, they are doing something. If you're an existing partner, you can get 3 free months of your platform fee by just sending a code Spring 2022. Just send that code to Magnusbox and you're going to get a credit for 3 months. Now, if you're new, for new partners, you are going to get 3 free months, including the platform and licensing fees. That's right. 3 full months. How could you not do this? It is one of the best online backup services. They're HIPAA compliant. They support all the operating systems, Linux, Windows, Mac. Check them out. Go to magnusbox.com. And by the way, you'll get all that for the spring promo by mentioning you heard it here on the Mike Tech Show. Mention that, and you're also going to get the same, by just the demo is going to have all the same features of existing partners. So get the demo, then sign up. Your first 3 months free. How can you go wrong? You got to try it out. So I want to thank Magnusbox for being a sponsor. So I have a couple things, and I normally don't mention client names, and especially a listener, but I have to here. And I think is looking forward to it because he's a regular listener, and his name's Dylan. And we met a while back at a presentation that I was doing on cybersecurity. And he heard me announce it on the show and was a local listener and joined me, and we met. Well, now he has a big project where he's moving the business that he works for. He's the IT support, and they're moving to another location. Well, they need 20 new desktops. access points, a new server, and they're purchasing everything from MTS Consulting. And I thank you very much for the project, Dylan, and I can't wait to continue working with you and helping your business. And it's great. But we have a question. He likes Aruba, which was purchased by HP. I was actually a big Aruba user in the corporate world. When I was working as the network manager for AmeriGas Propane, we used Aruba all the time. They were brand new. And it's interesting. Aruba started as disgruntled Cisco employees, where Cisco would not listen to them on what they wanted to do with Wi-Fi and some networking. And so they left and they started their own company, Aruba. I loved their product line, but haven't used it in a long time. Well, now we need a bunch of access points, and the supply chain with Aruba, it's going to be very hard getting a hold of them. So what cloud managed Wi-Fi access points do you recommend? Not Ubiquiti. So Dylan's not a Ubiquiti fan. So other than Aruba and Ubiquiti, what do you recommend? Hit me up on an email at miketechshow@gmail.com and let me know what you recommend so we can look at this and we can see, can we get the amount of access points that we need? So could really use some help here. Next, been spending a lot of time helping clients answering their questions for their cyber insurance and their cyber insurance policies. Now, for the cyber insurance that they have, comes with, from the insurance provider, a questionnaire. And typical user does not know how to answer all these questions. Do they have a secure gateway for email? Lots of detailed questions. And I'm spending time, of course it's billable, for answering these questions and mitigating the gaps just in case. Hey, one client did not have the secure gateway, and that's when I talked about Proofpoint. So we had to bring that into the picture so they were compliant with the insurance company. So then they'll write the policy for cyber insurance. Insurance companies just aren't going to let a company be covered without the company proving that they're doing their due diligence, that they have the right antivirus, that they have, regular Windows updates, almost a little, but not as bad as detailed as FINRA or HIPAA compliance, but you have to have it. So I'm spending time doing that, and even for small companies, and that's been a lot of business. So you should query your clients if you're not helping them. Do they have cyber insurance? Should they, based on the industry that they're in? Have that discussion with your client. Got a call this week from a client that was sending emails and they were being rejected by Gmail users. Not all of them, some. And I was looking at everything, the way they're set up. They weren't on a blacklist. And I noticed something. The DNS, I set the SPF record years ago for SureWeb. And we haven't made any changes. Well, the SPF record needed to be updated. I guess new IP addresses now or some new things. So I'm throwing this out there because it's something you may not look at. Do you need to change the SPF record for your client? And I'll put a link to what the SPF record is in case you're not sure and maybe you don't work with it, but you want to know. And this is just a text record that you put into the DNS, and it sort of certifies that the mail who it's coming from, it is coming from them. and the email provider that they have, sort of like a proof of ownership. And yes, you have D Kim as Jack in the Box in the chat. D Kim and D Mark also has to be set up, and there's instructions on how to set all these up, but I never had to update an SPF record where we didn't even change email providers. So SureWeb made changes that we were not aware of, that I had to make the change in the SPF record. So once I did that to their DNS, emails flowing to the Gmail clients, and it's not being rejected. Before I get to a large stack of email with some great topics and some follow-ups to some topics that I was talking about over the last couple of weeks, tomorrow I got a little challenge. I have to help a client with Mac Mail, and we need to purge all of their Mac Mail because they're not really using it anymore, but it's taking up a ton of space on their MacBook Pro. I do not use Mac Mail. Now, I'll probably talk about some of the details of this next week. I've done a lot of research, and I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow morning, but I use Outlook 365 for my Mac. I never really, got close to Mac Mail and using it. So it's not my forte. I would rather use Outlook on the Mac. But everybody uses Mac Mail because, hey, it's free. That's what it comes with, and so people start configuring their email to that. Well, I've only seen problems I get called into with Mac Mail. And I try to move the client, if I can, to Outlook. And then at least it's in a space that I can support and that I'm familiar with. But there's always some kind of an issue or something with Mac Mail. Now, some clients, it works fine and they don't have any issues. They're using IMAP. I find some of the problems when it's Exchange hosted, that Mac Mail, I know it works with it, but there's always like little issues. But here, it's the storage, and I got to get rid of the storage without it syncing to their cloud-based email where it might start purging or deleting the mail. I have to be careful of that. So that's tomorrow morning. And then what else? I got, setting up an untangle for an office where my son will be at the office, and we got to get the configurations from their existing firewall, and I got to get remoted in, and then I'll get those configurations, and then he'll put the new untangle in place, and then I will put the configs, and I'm going to do that remotely. Then my son has an interesting job for a client at their house, and it's about 4K. Let's just say I did some research on all the streaming services, and I was shocked at the availability and limited availability on some services, and some services does not even support 4K. So very, very interesting, and I'm putting that all together, and I'm going to have that discussion on a future show, just talking about 4K and just how little availability, basically. So just something that you might be interested in, especially with what I'm finding, from a lot of the different services. Okay. Let's see. Let's get to some email. And this is from Andrew. I have an old Intel i5 processor, Sandy Lake, and motherboard. I don't think I can enable or activate TMP2. So if I upgrade the motherboard memory to DDR4 and the CPU, will I need a Windows 11 license, or will the gods at Microsoft deny me due to hardware changes? I think you're going to be denied due to hardware changes, because the license already going to be married to that hardware. Boy, that's a massive upgrade. Why not do something else with that system and get a newer system with the motherboard and the DDR4 and everything you need that you know it's going to be, I think it's TPM, not TMP. So TPM2, and then you're going to be okay. And if you need cheap Windows 11 license, remember, you can get an inexpensive OEM license and it will activate for Windows 11. I've done it. So keep in mind, you could still get an inexpensive, and at that point, I would only do Pro. So you get like an OEM Windows 10 Pro key, and then maybe build another system. If you're going that far, I'm not a person that believes in replacing motherboards, and maybe that's just my lack of hardware, wanting to get down and dirty and do it. I mean, is the case worth that much? And the power supply, just get another case and build another system rather than do this. And then now take the old system and, you got Linux, you got other things, you could find a use for it. Anyway, just my idea. This is, let's see, this is from Richard. And interesting, he says, I can't imagine you haven't mentioned the free Patch My PC. I actually have in past shows. Remember, I've been doing this for 17 years. So I can't even remember some of the things that I've talked about. But I definitely have talked about Patch My PC a few times. It's just that lately I haven't. And I never looked at Patch My PC for replacing Nine Night. I said it's like Nine Night, but does updating and has more programs to choose from. I've never looked at it to install because I always go to Nine Night for the installation. But I use Patch My PC for updating all the software. And that's very interesting. I've never used Patch My PC to do the initial install. And yes, it does support way, way more programs than Nine Night. So just a great idea, and that's going to be the first link in tonight's show. This is from, and I don't know, I think it's Youssef. So he wrote me 2 emails, and in response to the scripts from last week, and he says, for basic debloating, my current recommendation is from the same people who make Shut Up 10, called OO App Buster. And I have talked about this. And for a more in-depth Windows debloating, I wrote an article covering a few methods here. And I am going to be pupontech.com, debloating Windows 10. So I'm going to link both of these, and I'm bringing them up in my browser right now. And OO App Buster, I did a show. I don't remember how long ago, but I've absolutely did a show on that. And this is great to configure all of the tips and things that you want to do and clean up. And it's free. And it works for Windows 10 and 11. So you might want to think about this for doing, your cleanup. This is a great utility. So I want to thank Youssef for that. And then here, Cut the Windows 10 Crap. This is his article and all of his methods for cleaning up. So thank you for that. And I am very glad to link that. All right. Let's get to some more email. He also writes me, I used to recommend Unroll Me to everyone until I saw they were selling everyone's info per this article. So I'm going to have a link to the article where Unroll Me, they sell the information. So you don't want to be using Unroll Me. So the next one, boy, it looks just like Unroll Me though, and it's called Clean Fox. So I'm going to have a link to this. It's called Clean Fox. And check that out and use that for cleaning your inbox until we find out that they're doing bad things with our info. So, all right. Now, this is a couple emails where I was asking about Google Calendar. And this is if you're migrating out of Google Workspace, take a look at Google Takeout, and that's takeout.google.com. This is how Google allows you to get all of your Google data to migrate to either a new account or so you have a copy of your data in your possession. It will export your calendars as in an iCalendar format. Hope this helps. And this is from Michael. Oh, that is awesome. I've already started checking it out. And this is another email from Chris. And he says, so I'm ignorant trying to use Twitch as I was listening tonight and I got banned. Oh, this is this is from Chris who got banned last week. So, and we since fixed that. A couple items for you on Exchange migrations. I have done many migrations over the years. A paid service that I have used many times is Migrate on Wiz by BitTitan. And I have heard of this, but I've never used it. It has a per user fee, but it has lots of options if you have a lot of users to migrate. Also, there is a new way that is free from Microsoft for Google Workspace migration, but it doesn't support the free legacy G Suite. Well, that's okay because they're not on the free suite. And I will have a link to that doc by Microsoft and also to BitTitan. I love all of your feedback. I throw questions out there and I get tremendous solutions in return. And, thank you for that. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Michael. Now, this is from Ed, and it gets me thinking about something. And I just had a conversation with a listener this week from George recommending the same thing here. In episode 819, you were talking about 10 gig networking and saying you need to have a fiber card and a fiber switch. You can do 10 gig across Cat5e in short distances. If you are going to do 10 gig between buildings, you would use fiber. The link that I am putting here has Netgear switches that have copper for fiber, copper and fiber for 10 gig. There are other manufacturers that do the same. You would future-proof yourself if you get the 2 gig internet. I wish I had the current speed you have. I have 6 megs down and 512K up. Thanks for all your shows, Ed. And Ed has this high-speed 10 gig copper switch by Netgear. And I will have a link to that. And Ed, thank you very much. Had a great discussion with a listener this week. Like I said, George, and we were talking about multi-gig and options for that. So that is great. I'm also going to have a discussion helping a listener with policies on Monday. And write me and ask me if you need help with something. I love doing that. And it's, the last 2 years probably leveraging the Mike Tech Show now after all these years. And you've been, absolutely responding. I have a client in South Florida because of a listener. I have 2 clients in Ohio because of a listener. I have one in New York and one in New Jersey, all from listeners that needed help, or they knew someone that needed IT support and recommended me and my company. I love it. So keep that coming. And if you need one-off help, I have great rate. And just reach out, send me that email, miketechshow@gmail.com. I'll get back to you, and we'll work out a time, work out a schedule, and I'm going to do everything humanly possible to help you out. So I help not just end users, but also consultants, other consultants that maybe you need some help with a situation like networking or something. I'll be glad to help. And if I can't answer it or I can't do it, I'll be the first to tell you. And then I will get someone that can answer that and help. So reach out if you need some assistance. I am absolutely available. Okay, that's it. Not a real long show tonight, but I want to thank everybody for listening and staying subscribed. So subscribed. Please support the sponsors. Instant House Call, tremendous for remote access. Also, the Magnus box for backup. You can back up everything that anything that you want, you can back up and back it up to the cloud. And take advantage of these April promotions. And then also Fab's Auto Backup Pro. We live in that. Every week we're using that all the time. And they're an affiliate. We love them. That's it for tonight's show. Thank you so much for staying subscribed and supporting me and the show. I really appreciate it. And especially for all your great feedback. Don't forget, email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. That's it. See everybody here next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.